The town of Black Hollow had always been shrouded in mystery. Nestled deep in the valley, surrounded by dense forests, it was the kind of place where people locked their doors before sunset and whispered about things they claimed to have never seen. But on one fateful night, everything changed. The night the sky turned red. It started as a faint glow on the horizon, a strange, pulsating ember that seemed to breathe in the darkness. Sarah Dawson was the first to notice it. Standing on the front porch of her family's farmhouse, she clutched her shawl tighter against the evening chill. "Mama, come look at this," she called. Her mother, Eleanor, emerged from the house, her weathered face creased with worry. The moment she saw the sky, her expression darkened. "Get inside, Sarah, now." Sarah hesitated. "But what is it?" Eleanor's hands trembled as she grabbed her daughter's wrist, pulling her inside. "It's happening again." The words sent a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Again? What do you mean?" Eleanor didn't answer. She bolted the door and drew the curtains. Outside, the glow intensified, painting the entire sky in a hellish red. It wasn't the gentle amber of a sunset, nor the eerie glow of a wildfire. It was something else, something unnatural. Meanwhile, in the heart of Black Hollow, townsfolk gathered in the streets, murmuring in hushed, fearful tones. The elderly exchanged knowing glances, their lips pressed into tight lines. The younger ones, oblivious to the town's past, stared in awe and confusion. Then, the church bells tolled. A piercing silence followed. No one moved. No one spoke. The people of Black Hollow knew what that sound meant. It was a warning, a relic from a time they had all tried to forget. "They're coming," whispered an old man, his voice barely audible over the distant rustling of the wind. Just like before, Sarah's father, William Dawson, had been the sheriff for over 20 years. He had dismissed many of the town's superstitions as old wives' tales. But when he saw the sky that night, something in him shifted. He loaded his rifle and stepped onto the porch, his jaw set in grim determination. "William, please," Eleanor pleaded. "You can't stop them. No one can." "I won't sit here and do nothing," he said. "Not again." Sarah had never seen her father afraid before. But that night, as the red sky loomed overhead, she saw fear etched deep into his face. Then, the screams began. They echoed from the woods, distant at first, then growing closer. Shadows moved between the trees, their forms distorted and unnatural. The townsfolk scattered, running for shelter, locking their doors, whispering hurried prayers. But they all knew it was useless. Sarah peered through the crack in the curtains, her breath hitching in her throat. She saw figures emerging from the forest, tall, hollow-eyed, their skin stretched too tight over their bones. Their mouths moved, but no sound came out. Instead, the wind carried a low, humming noise that seeped into the bones, vibrating through the air like an unholy hymn. "Mama, what are they?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Eleanor closed her eyes. The Forgotten. It was the town's darkest secret, one buried beneath layers of silence and time. Decades ago, Black Hollow had made a terrible mistake. Out of desperation, fear, and selfishness, they had sent a group of outcasts into the woods. People they deemed unworthy, unclean, or simply inconvenient. The town elders had promised salvation in return. The outcasts had never returned, but they hadn't gone. They had waited. And once every generation, on a night when the sky bled red, they came back to remind the town of its sins. William aimed his rifle at the approaching figures, his hands steady despite the terror in his eyes. "Not my family," he muttered. "Not this time." A piercing wail cut through the night. One of the Forgotten lunged, its hollow eyes locking onto William. The gunshot rang out, but the figure didn't fall. Instead, it kept moving, faster now, as if the bullet had only enraged it. "Inside, now!" William bellowed, pushing Sarah and Eleanor back. He slammed the door shut just as something heavy crashed against it. The house trembled. The air was thick with the scent of burning metal and something more putrid, something that smelled like decay. Sarah buried her face in her mother's chest, her entire body shaking. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the noise stopped. The red glow outside faded, dissolving into the first light of dawn. The air became still, the town eerily silent. Slowly, cautiously, William unbolted the door and stepped outside. The streets were empty. The forest was quiet. The Forgotten were gone, but they had left their mark. Scratches marred the doors, windows were shattered, and the church bells hung twisted in their tower. Some houses stood vacant, their inhabitants missing, as if they had never existed at all. Sarah stepped onto the porch, her heart still pounding. She looked up at the sky, now a pale shade of blue, as if the horror of the night before had been nothing but a bad dream. But she knew better. The town of Black Hollow had a secret, and the sky would turn red again.